Good morning and welcome back to our regular distance learning education. Today, as the regular portions of the history of the earth, we are going to discuss more about the how fossils are formed, what are fossils fuel, what are the importance of fossils, and similarly the different events that occurs in the different time scales or different time periods after the evolution of the earth. As I already told you that the evolution is not a single day process or a single year process. It may took millions of years or billions of years to change the life from one generation to the another generation, or having the remarkable changes in the lifestyle, remarkable changes in the organizations of the animals and plant may took the millions of years. So, all the changes along with the time have been scripted along with the geological time period, that is called geological time scale. Here in the slide we can see that there are the different time period that occurs or different scales that occur in the earth, and the earth with after the evolution, different organization or different animals and plants, different organization or different animals and plants have been developed along with the different time period. Not all the organisms that we are seeing in the present days are not evolved at the same time period or at the same time interval. So, some animals may got extinct along with the evolutions, and some are still present here after their evolutions and they got survived in the earth. For example, we can take the example of two animals like lizard and dinosaurs. Both are reptiles, and dinosaurs got extinct due to the adverse effect in the climate, adverse climatic condition, or they do not get adequate amount of food facilities, or they did not get any types of survival things, means life supporting medium, so they got extinct slowly. And the reptiles like the lizards are being alive since that time because they can survive, or they fitted themselves to the existing environment. So, one must survive or one must need to continue their generations if they can survive in the existing condition. So, there are the different time scales you can see in the slide, that is different time period and the different animals and plants got evolved at that time. In the next slide we can see the different process, how the evolution of the human life start, how the evolution of the animals in the earth start. These are the different processes. It is impossible to return back in the period where the earth have been evolved. That means we cannot go back to the 4.5 billion years ago by the time now. But there are the different evidences which are collected either they may be of the fossils or the different others theories that shows that there are animals and the plants which are developed during the time period, during that time period to the till now are being extinct, new generation are being evolved and they got changes their lifestyle, etc. So, the first animal was the bacterium, or organism was the bacterium, which was evolved in 3800 million years ago. Similarly, the plant was the algae. And in the beginning, the Paleozoic era, first era, that means Paleozoic era, marine cell invertebrates were abundant and vertebrates were found in the ocean and gradually seen on the land. So, that era was also known as the era of amphibians, as the amphibians dominate the earth surfaces at that time. You can see the different plants, that is the cycas plant that is developed during that period along with the some fossils of dinosaurs that was existing in the earth at the different time period, or we may say that at the Mesozoic era, but now it is extinct. But we know how they got survived in the earth by detailed study of the fossils. and this is the fun plant. It is easily available now too, but it is being existing since to the Mesozoic era, to the earth, to the present life. And there are the different eras, as we already mentioned, that Mesozoic era and the Cenozoic era, the present era where the present life was developed, and the different phenomena like the development of the plateaus, development of the island, development of mountains, different phenomena in the earth must occur in these two eras, that is Mesozoic era and Cenozoic era. And the Mesozoic era is called the era of reptiles, because in this era reptiles were abundant and the dinosaurs originated in this era, were the strongest animal of the earth. The first bird and the mammals were developed in the same time, but dinosaurs were at the peak growth in the era, in this era, and Cretaceous period, the same era where the dinosaurs became extinct. See that point? That means that huge animal which was dominating the earth at that time got extinct due to different unfavorable conditions. Similarly, human beings now the Cenozoic era, the human beings are dominating the earth's surface due to their intelligence, due to their sense. After a certain interval of time, after the millions year later on, the human beings will also got extinct if they could not survive, or if they could not fit according to their surrounding. Okay, then another terms come fossils. That means, as I already told you, that different organisms or different plants, different animals that were existing in the earth's surface, from its beginning to the till now, we cannot go back to the when the earth was developed or when the earth was formed. But we know the different animals and the plants. That were existing the different time period by knowing or by detail studying the fossils. So, what is fossils? The fossils, the term is obtained from the classical Latin word, that is fossilis. Classical Latin word, that is fossilis, which literally mean obtained by digging. It does not lie at the surface of the earth crust. We must have to dig it from the earth, where many or any types of preserved remnants, impressions or traces of any one's living things from the past geological age. Means some animals died at a certain interval time. If they got buried by the different substances like mud, sand, etc., some parts got decayed, and there will be the absence of oxygen, and after the absence of oxygen, they change, the decaying stops, and it shows the remnants, or it shows the replica on that surfaces, which is now termed as fossils. So, here you can see in the example includes bones, shells, exoskeletons, stone imprints or microbes, object preserved in amber, here petrified wood, oil, coal and DNA remnants. There may be different types of fossils. It is not necessary that the whole plants or whole animals must be there in the fossils. There are some parts, or there are some parts, or there some replica are the component of the fossils. The totality of the fossils is known as fossils record. We can obtain the different information by the fossils record. And planetology is the science that helps in the study of fossils, or that study the fossils. There is method of evolutions and evolutionary significance. So, specimens are usually considered to be the fossils if they are over 10,000, not a single day's replica or single day's imprint are termed as these fossils. For the fossils, they must be more than 10,000, or replica must be 10,000 years old. Means the age can be found by the carbon dating, that means radioactive dating, we can say the term that is used to measure the age of fossils or age of plants and animals that kept preserved in the fossils. That process is known as carbon dating or rock dating, carbon dating or rock dating. And for the fossils, the specimen must be usually 10,000 years old, and the oldest fossils are about 3.48 billion years to the 4.1 billion years old. The source is from the Wikipedia. We have I gathered the informations from the Wikipedia. You can easily search there and find these informations. These informations may be vary according to the books. Some book will show the 3.5 billion, or some books will show the 3.2 billion year. So it is better to follow your book. So, and the observation in the 19th century that the certain fossils were associated with certain rock strata, certain rock forms led to the recognition of the geological time scale and the relative age of different fossils. The development of radiometric dating, that means radio dating or carbon dating technique in the early 20th century allow scientists to quantitatively measure the absolute ages of rocks and fossils they host. Means generally the fossils are found in the sedimentary rock. Generally in the sedimentary rock they got preserved, means dead animals and the plant got preserved inside the sedimentary rock. We already know that, or we know that how sedimentary rock is formed. Sedimentary rock is formed by the deposition of layer of mud, layer of sand over a year to year. When that mud or that sand get deposited over the plants or animals that died or that buried, that increases the pressure and temperature inside it, along with some oxygen got trapped inside it, and in the presence of oxygen it get decomposed. The soft materials like muscles, skins, etc. got decomposed, and after the completion of the aerobic oxidation there will be the absence of oxygen and the anaerobic oxidation takes place, and that anaerobic oxidation do not decay that remnant particles and changes into the hard substances. That hard substances is known as fossils, which shows the replica or which shows the structure of plants and animals that get buried under it. So there are the many processes for the fossilization or for the formation of the process of fossils. There are the different processes that lead to the fossilization, including permineralization, cast, molds, replacement, recrystallization and carbonization. That is the process means including different processes like cast and molds, permineralizations, replacement and recrystallization and carbonization are the different process that occurs for the fossils to form. So in next slide you can see fossils vary in different size, that the smallest fossils is 1 micrometer, that is the smallest fossils is 1 micrometer, that is bacteria fossils that found in the earth's surface, to the large animals like dinosaurs and trees, many meters long and weighing many tons. Means there is no fixed size that the animal got fossilized. Any types of animals and plant can get fossilized if the process is corrected, or if the process of formation of fossils they exhibit. So a fossils normally preserves only a portions of deceased organism, means dead organisms. A fossils normally preserves only a portion. As I told you, some substances or some materials get decomposed in the presence of oxygen, and undecayed part get preserved. Undecayed part get preserved. That preserved part changed into the fossils. That line or that statement shows that a fossils normally preserves only a portion of dead organism, of deceased organism, usually the portions that was partially mineralized during life, such as bone, teeth of vertebrates, or the chitinous or calcareous exoskeleton of invertebrates. That means strong or strongest part of exoskeleton of invertebrates. In the invertebrates, we cannot find the hard skeleton, and the skeleton containing the chitinous or calcareous means strongest part, like the shell of snail, covering of snail, etc. That is the exoskeleton. So, the fossils may also consist of mark left behind by the organism while it was alive, such as animal traces or tracks or faces, means their excretory parts or excretory substances. These types of fossils are called trace fossils as opposed to the body fossils. Body fossils means formed by the decomposing of the body, and these are formed by the tracing or marks left by the organisms. And some fossils are biochemicals and they are called chemofossils or biosignatures. These are the different types of fossils. So, again I am repeating, that is, fossils, for the formation of fossils, there is no hard or soft rule. There is no hard or soft rule. For the formation of fossils, if the animal died, then some portion of animal get decomposed in the presence of oxygen, and some part do not got decomposed, and that part which does not decompose lead to change into the fossils. So, in next slide you can see that identification of the fossils, how the fossils can be identified. All the things or all the substances that are obtained from the ancient time are not said to be the fossils. For the fossils, or for being the fossils, it must follow these different rules, like the methods of identification of the fossils are: traces of dead bodies are formed on the sedimentary rock which can be identified as fossils, means traces of dead bodies. Such tracing may be the part or the whole part of body, means only a small part of the body may form the fossils, or a whole part may also form the fossils. Another one is a part of the skeleton or the whole skeleton preserved in the sedimentary rock is termed as fossils or is fossils. As I already told you that mostly in the sedimentary rock the fossils are found. For example, in igneous rock, the formation of fossils is very impossible, or we must say that it is impossible, because when something that is the preserved part or the animals or plant that came in contact with the igneous rock got buried, and no part remnant for the formations of the fossils. So, fossils may be formed in the form of mold and cast. Mold and cast means something that shows the imprint. If you marks, or if you put something over some period of over a long period of time, then that things which you period over that substances make a imprint. That imprint process is mold and cast. Mold and cast, like the making of brick, or like making some we may say that pictures or different names imprinting in the bricks by giving to the different substances, like shell of animals, wood of plant, etc. also may be preserved in the sedimentary rock. And then in the next slide you can see that is the process of fossils formation. In the slide you can see the process of fossils formation. That fossils formation is not a single day process. As I already told you that it is not a single day process. It takes millions of years. See, in the first figure you can see a huge animals like dinosaurs over there, and that animal died, and some part or some fleshy part got decomposed. After the decomposition of the fleshy part, or after the decomposition of different parts of the body, only the exoskeleton remains, or only the skeleton remains. We may say only the skeleton remains, and that skeleton got buried by the animals buried by the sand or mud as the process of sedimentary rock formation, like the process of sedimentary rock formation. And over a long period of time, in this period, that dinosaurs lived in Mesozoic era, and in the last figure you can see the human beings is digging the fossils in Cenozoic era. Means over a long period of time it got preserved under the earth's surface and it is digged. It is digged in the present day. So for the formation of the fossils it took many years. You can see that is mold and cast. It is the fossils of leach. It is the fossils of leach formed by the cast and mold process. Here we cannot find the whole organisms. We can just see the imprint of that organisms. It is the structure of leach that found at that time and the fossilized by the process of cast and mold. You can see another one. In Nepali we can say that it is saligram, which is most abundantly found in the Kaligandaki river. That is saligram, abundantly found in our Kaligandaki river, bank of Kaligandaki river, and the process by the molds and cast are the most common types of fossils. You can see here a mold is a hollow area in a sediment in the shape of an organism or the part of organism. A mold, when the organism is buried in the sediments, later water may deposit mineral and sediment into a mold, forming a cast. There one surface is hollow, you can see the one surface is hollow and another surface, that is mold. Hollow surface is known as mold, and the surface in which the organisms got mineralized. We may say that organisms got mineralized is the cast. Is the cast. That organisms in that in the dead bodies of the organisms, water deposits minerals, sediments, and forms the mold, forming a cast. And the cast is a solid copy of the shape and organism. See in the figure you can see, I think in our home too we can easily find these types of fossils, as we worshipped it as a saligram. That saligram is a types of the fossils which falls on the category of molds and cast, or formed by the process of molds and cast, and it is abundantly found in our Kaligandaki river valley. Then you can see another types of fossils or leach fossils, that is formed by the carbonization process. It was also found at that time period. Nowadays it is considered as the fossils by carbonization. It is still existing in our earth surface. Okay, now see how the fossils is formed or formation of fossils, as we already discussed about it. You can again I make some explanation about that. Fossils are formed in a number of different ways, but most are formed when the plants or animals died in a watery environment and is buried in the mud and slits. Means the process of decomposition is started here. Soft tissues quickly decompose, leaving the hard bones or shell behind. Over time, sediments builds over the top and harden into the rocks. As the encased bone decay, minerals seep in, replacing the organic material cell by cell in the process called petrification. The process is called petrification, where the mineral is replaced, where the organic matter is replaced by the minerals, and the process is called petrification. Alternatively, the bones may completely decay, leaving a cast of the organisms. The void left behind may then fill with minerals, making a stone replica of the organisms. Fossils can form in the unusual way. A small bug or insect can become trapped in the tree sap, the parts of tree where it is hollow. Eventually the sap hardens and forms the semi-precious materials called amber. In some pieces of amber, the entombed remains of the organisms can be found. Volcanic eruption can also form the fossils. When the animal gets trapped in the hot ash flow, in this case the fossils is a hole in the shape of organism. That means burnt part, not buried part, that burnt part remains and forms the hollow-like structures. And that hollow-like structures may termed as the fossils, is a hole in the shape of animal. By far, the most common fossils remain are those of the celled invertebrates, sea-loving creatures such as snails, corals, and clams. These make up most of the fossils record. Plants can leave fossils. In fact, the most commonly used fossil fuel is that coal, which is formed by the fossilization of dead plants or whole forest. In fact, coal is the fossil's record of whole forest. However, individual plant structure usually do not survive as the plant materials are compressed to the less than 1/100th of their original size. Means exact size is not made as the fossils. It is compressed to their less size. And the fossils of land animals are scarier than those of plants. In order to become fossilized, animal must die in the water environment. See, that must be the most necessary condition for the fossilization. In order to become the fossilized, animal must die in a watery environment and become buried in the mud and slate. Because of this requirement, most land creatures never get the chance to become fossilized unless they died next to the river bank or the stream or lake. Indeed, there may be a whole species of land animal in which no fossils has been discovered. See, what was the amazing point that is. We are just studying the some animals from the ancient time which got fossilized because they died near the river bank or they died the surfaces where the water is available. So, for the formation of the fossils, animal must die near to the river bank. So, we may never know the how many and diverse these animals were. Means the exact number of the animals, the exact diversification of the animals at that time is still a subject for finding. So, still some more scientific research need to be done. And this scientific research is for you to do. Okay. In the coming classes, we will discuss more about the formation of the fossils. Till then, have a